Welcome to Road to Recovery.
Welcome to Road to Recovery, Advocacy and Insights for Trucking Accidents with Sagi Shaked. Sagi Shaked is founder of Shaked Law Personal Injury Lawyers and is ranked as one of the top 100 trial lawyers in the United States by the American Trial Lawyers Association. With a wealth of experience in personal injury, wrongful death, and complex litigation cases, he passionately advocates for victims and has recovered multi-million-dollar settlements and damages for his clients. I'm Shameika Rhymes, and today we're talking about wrongful death cases involving delayed fatalities after truck accidents and the legal challenges families can face when a loved one survives the initial crash but later passes away from related injuries or complications. Welcome, Sagi.
Thanks for having me, Shameika. I look forward to this podcast.
Yeah. So let's talk about what to do after a fatal car or truck accident in Florida, because families tend to have a lot of questions after something like that happens. So, what should a family do immediately after a loved one is killed in a Florida car or truck accident?
Yeah, this is always a sad situation, but and unfortunately, it happens all too often, not only in Florida, but throughout the country. So I would say after taking care of your personal needs and the funeral arrangements, you need to really know that the statute of limitations in Florida, which is Florida Statute 768.20, and you can type that into Google and it'll give you what the statute is. But basically, it's a 2-year statute of limitations, which means there are things that need to be done. The insurance company is immediately taking care of business, meaning protecting their interests, which means their money. So we have to do something to represent the people who contact us or victims because of someone else's negligence. And what I would say first is immediately is preservation of the evidence. And some of the evidence can be by way of photographs or videos, identifying witnesses. If there was a cell phone, you want to get the cell phone information. You also want to get, each car has what they call an electric data recorder, which is an EDR, or sometimes they call it the black box. People think it's only for like airplanes, but every car going back to almost 1998 has this EDR module or black box component that tells you the speed of the vehicle, the braking distance. So those are the kind of things we want to start getting. You don't want to allow the car to disappear or go to the junkyard. And this is why you really should get someone who's qualified, who knows what they're doing, who's handled these cases immediately, because the last thing the family needs to be dealing with is trying to preserve this information. They need to have someone who's skilled, someone who knows what they're doing, someone who's board certified. And if you're dealing with a truck, there are regulations, there are federal regulations dealing with truck accidents and trucks, and what truck drivers have to follow and trucking companies have to follow. I have a book that's coming out just on truck accidents and what needs to be done following it. But just to give you an example, there's something called hours of service. These trucking companies and truck drivers have to keep that for a period of a couple of years. If you don't request it immediately, for some reason, it just disappears. It happens in all our cases. So big picture to answer this is take care of your personal needs, but immediately contact a lawyer that can help you so you comply with the statute of limitations for wrongful death cases. And then you need to get in Florida an estate opened up, which is in probate court, and have someone serve as the personal representative.
So I'm wondering, because a lot of times, and I've just seen this with a couple of accidents just on social media, sometimes because people are in such shock, they run to social media and start posting. Would you suggest that families not do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Do not post on social media. I can give you an example. When I was a young lawyer or a baby lawyer, now I'll call myself a more experienced lawyer. We're in 2026. I've been doing it 26 years now. Social media really was just at its infancy. And so when I first started, I was a defense lawyer. We would have to hire investigators to go out and, follow people around. And, the insurance companies would search people's trash cans and try to find stuff. Here, people are posting on social media and they're self-sabotaging their case. instead of not posting and not giving the insurance company access. Because if you post online, the insurance company has a right to get it. Unfortunately, that's the way the courts have been going. Even if you're private, there's some courts that are allowing that. So why give them an option? I would say do not post. We even had a case where a young woman died. She was in her mid 40s, and her daughter was in her teenage years and had, tens of thousands of followers on Insta and TikTok. And I asked her, please don't post. And it was really hard for her not to post because that's what she did every day. And young kids, I guess they like their social media.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say do not post. It's a great question, Shameika. But yeah, for anyone out there who's listening, do not post. Stay away from posting.
Yeah, I just thought about it when the singer Angie Stone passed away from truck accident. There was one woman that posted about it and on TikTok, and it went viral. And so I just thought about that, how it was an immediate, people are posting things of like the actual accident scene online. So yeah.
Yeah, and then they can use stuff against you if you're posting. So you really don't want to help the insurance company because they are not there to help you. They are there to save their money. And our goal is to get you justice for what happened to the family member. And the only way to do that is by not having, social or anyone sabotaging the case
Mhm.
with something we don't need to post.
Absolutely. So when should the family contact a wrongful death attorney after a fatal crash, and why can waiting hurt the case?
So, all right. So, again, going back, there's a 2 year statute of limitations. So, I would say as soon as possible. And when we talk about waiting, remember we spoke about that black box data. If that car gets destroyed or the car that caused the crash gets destroyed and it's no longer found, or it's, they put it through the junkyard and it's gone, now you've lost your data from the EDR. A lot of times there's surveillance footage. Now we see in our society, there's cameras really everywhere, right? Cameras on every corner, almost every building has a camera. And so these things get definitely not every place, but most places within 30 days, they write over each other because of memory. So that may be gone. Witnesses, they tend to forget or their recollection is not the best. So we want that as well. We want to get statements right away. And then this way we can always refresh their recollection. In terms of the trucking data, remember, they don't have to keep the stuff forever. And also, there is data online that every time it goes 2 years, they overwrite. So it's not like they wait 2 years. So if today is August 4th, for example, 2026, tomorrow is going to be the 5th. So they'll only have 2 years from back from the 5th. So you really want to get information online right away and saved, as well as the surveillance footage, the witness statements, the data from the vehicles, all those. And it all takes time to do. And you want to do inspections of the vehicles. So 2 years is a hard deadline in Florida and in most states. Some states like Tennessee is 1 year. You really want to know what state you're in. But for Florida, it's 2 years, and that's Florida statute 95.11. So keep that in mind when you have a truck accident or an auto crash, that you comply with that 2 years and immediately find a trial attorney, not just any attorney. It has to be a board certified trial lawyer in civil trial law.
Well, should family members speak with the trucking company or an insurance adjuster before hiring an attorney?
Definitely no. It's a great question. Again, you have to keep this in mind. Insurance companies are in the business of making money. If they're asking a family member or anyone questions regarding the case or regarding what's going on, they're not there doing it because they're nice people. They're there to get the statements that favor them. They're not going to give you the good statements. They want to protect their interests. So I would say do not sign anything, especially a release, because let's say they pay you 100,000, but they have 5 million in insurance, and really the case is worth 5 million. Why would you sign a release? So they do try to take advantage of people when they're going through these horrible situations, and you need a lawyer to fight for you. Same thing with the truck accident. Let's say it's a truck. The trucking company will come and say, give you an example, hey, we only have 750 or $1 million in coverage. It sounds like a lot of money,
Mhm.
but not when we know there could be a issue with the freight company, there could be an issue with the broker company, there could be an issue with the shipping company, or there might be two different trucking companies involved with different layers of insurance. So I would say the best thing to do is contact a lawyer, especially a lawyer who handles truck accident cases and who understands the nuances of the law.
Now we kind of went over this already, but I thought we just to make sure folks understand, but what evidence must be preserved immediately after that fatal car or truck accident?
Yeah, so we went over some, but not all. And
Mhm.
so we talked about the EDR, the black
Yes.
box data. In trucking accident, there are driver logs and supporting documentation, meaning that there have to be a pre-trip inspection, and there are all types of records like a dispatch record, a trip record.
Mhm.
Keep in mind that trucks have what they call telematics. So, and GPS data. We want to get that. The telematics is basically a software that keeps track of where the trucks are at all times. And so we would know what route they took, how fast they were going. That's important. Most trucking companies now, even the mom and pops, have dash camera facing forward and facing the interior of the cab. I can't tell you how many times that's come in useful. And it's a game changer when it's no longer he said, she said. It's, hey, we have a video, and the video, it speaks 1,000 words. Trucking companies have to, they have driver qualification files. Those are important. Training files, we want to get those. And keep in mind, every time there's a truck crash, the trucking company has to test their driver right away for drugs and alcohol.
Mhm.
If they don't do that, that's a big problem for the trucking company. That's could be that they destroyed evidence that you have to do. Federal law requires it, and state law also. There's maintenance and inspection records. We had a case where a tire flew off a truck and went straight into an individual on the sidewalk. And you never know when things could happen. So those maintenance and inspection records, they're going to come in important. If you have potentially a shipping or broker case, the bills of lading and cargo information,
Mhm.
that's important. Cell phone records we spoke about, any communication devices, and there's something called an accident register and safety policies. We want to get all of those things. Now, in my book, I go through a very long list of things that we request and send out a preservation letter, from hospital records to emergency room records, toxicology records, if there's an autopsy report. There's not one single thing that's going to, make the case, but you never know, and you never want to leave it to chance. So what I would say is request all those items. And if anyone has any questions of what to request, feel free to shoot me an email and I'll send you my preservation letter.
Sounds very thorough, and I'm intrigued about this book, but we'll talk about it later.
Definitely.
Well, who can be held responsible when a commercial truck is the one causing a fatal accident in Florida?
So a lot of times people mistakenly believe that it's only the truck driver. It's not just the truck driver. It's the owner of the truck, potentially the owner of the trailer. And then we come to, maybe there's a company that inspected or maintained the trailer. There's a broker that's involved in brokering the load. Did the broker seek only the cheapest load out there, the person to transfer the load, the cheapest, as opposed to looking at their safety rating? What if they weren't a safe company and you continue to give them loads because you're trying to save a buck and you put everyone's life at risk? 4,000 people die a year on our roadways from truck accidents. So what that means is, there's danger on the roadway. A broker, you have a duty to protect people on the roadway by not hiring dangerous drivers. We see that all the time. Every week, there's a horrific crash on the roadway. So the loading company, if they improperly secured the load or distributed the cargo, you may have a rollover or you may have cargo flying off. The manufacturer of a defective truck or trailer, if there's a roadway condition, it could be the government that's at fault. So those are all things that should be looked into. And again, it's a short time period. I know 2 years sounds like a lot, but it really isn't when you're litigating.
Well, what happens when a driver who caused the fatal crash does not have enough insurance coverage?
Yeah, so not having enough insurance coverage is a big problem in Florida for car accidents because we're not in Florida. There is no requirement for a driver to have what they call bodily injury coverage.
Mhm.
But for trucks, most of the time, there is insurance coverage. And if there isn't, there's a document called the MCS 90. And that's basically an endorsement to each insurance policy, which acts like as a safety blanket. In case the insurance company says there's no insurance, then you can use the MCS 90 endorsement. It's a public liability type of insurance, and it protects the public from motor carriers or trucking companies that don't have insurance. The insurance company will come in there and they have to pay $750, and that's federal law. Now, if you're in a car and you get hit by a person who doesn't have insurance, you may have uninsured motorist coverage on your own car, and that'll protect you because your insurance company will step into the shoes of the at-fault driver and they will pay. So just make sure, for anyone listening, if you have insurance, look on your insurance declaration page and make sure you have uninsured motorist coverage.
That is absolutely something I just did literally 2 days ago. So that is a great reminder.
Smart. Yeah, definitely look into that. And if
Well,
you're not sure, I'll gladly help people look into it so they make sure they get the right coverage, because the last thing you want is find out after a horrific wreck or that you can't go back to work that you don't have any insurance to protect you.
as we wrap up, what should a family bring to its first meeting with a Florida wrongful death attorney?
So I would say if they're having their first meeting, definitely any information that you have, I would put together as many photographs. If you can't do it in the first meeting, in the first couple of meetings, put together as many photographs as you can, videos, because the insurance company sees the person that passed as a number, and it's our job to humanize the person. And in cases we've had in the past, we've had videos showing how the person acted, the person dancing, the person loving life. And we want to bring that to life, or the person loving going to barbecues and have barbecues with their family. And here, that's taken away. That's taken away from the family. It took away the joy the person had, but the joy the kids and the wife had. So that's just something that came to mind now. So I would say most important is whatever you have, but also start gathering the videos and the list of names and pictures that you have of the person who passed.
Well, thank you, Sagi, for such a informative conversation. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Well, that is it for today's episode of Road to Recovery, Advocacy and Insights for Trucking Accidents. If you'd like to learn more about Sagi Shaked and his work at Shaked Law Personal Injury Lawyers, visit shakedlaw.com. You'll find resources to help you understand your rights after a serious trucking accident and what it takes to protect your future. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review so that others can find the guidance they need.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.